All right, everybody, welcome back to Hodish Hockey. It's been a little bit, and honestly, it's kind of the same story as last time. This team is just, man, they're weird. Um, Kind of frustrating, which I'll get into because I'm getting nervous. I don't know if it's time to get nervous yet. They say the Thanksgiving break, or not break, but Thanksgiving in general, is kind of the, point at which you can really start looking at the standings and seeing which teams are legit, which teams aren't. And the Kings are technically in a playoff spot, although they've also played more games than pretty much every other team, so it's kind of hard to say. You can play the whole, well, we have 3 games on this team, but if they win all 3, I'm not going to do that because it's you really don't know what the other teams are going to do. But the fact is, the Kings have not done what they've needed to do. So, obviously, looking at the results here, like, it just kind of sums up the Kings season so far, right? You have a 4-game winning streak where the Kings look super good. You think, okay, all that stuff at the beginning of the year is kind of fixed. Like, this team's finding themselves. They had a great game against Edmonton after a really an unfortunate loss to Calgary. Like, easily could have won that game, but they kind of just made it hard on themselves. And then losing to Vancouver, Seattle, back to back, losing to New York, who's a good team, but still, like, those are games that the Kings really should win, and they should have won them, because it's getting to the point now where 12-9-2, it's just not a record that I think reflects the skill that this team has. I don't think it reflects how well the team has played for the majority of the season. It's just been little mistakes from individuals, or just, the goaltending, the team kind of collapsing in certain games on defense. And it's probably 6 or 7, singular incidents that make us have a 12-9-2 record instead of, maybe a 15-5-2 record. This team should be a lot higher in the standings than where they are. And you can look at the advanced statistics, and pretty much every advanced statistic says that the Kings are a very good team, except advanced goaltending statistics. Don't look at those, because that is a big reason why the team has not been performing. But I don't know. It's been really hard to watch the last couple games because I just have this sinking feeling in my chest that they're just not playing as good as they need to be. They are such a good team. And I'm going to show the stats right now because overall, I think pretty much every player has done very good. There's a few obvious players that have, not been good. But for the most part, everyone's been really good, right? Kevin Fiala, so good. 22 points in 23 games. He's back on the top line. He looks like he fits on the team way better than at the start of the year, which makes sense. I think he's been great, right? Kopitar, it's a little iffy with Kopitar. The points are there. The thing that I've noticed with Kopi is a lot of times he'll just have a terrible game, and in my head, I'm just thinking, man, he's just having such a bad game. And then in the third period, he pulls out some crazy deke and then sets up a guy with an amazing saucer pass. And I'm just like, okay, well, I should probably just put my foot in my mouth because that's how good Kopitar can be. I just think age is catching up, and it's okay. I don't think the Kings are going to be screwed if Kopitar starts to decline a little bit. They're just going to have to find the right time to kind of bring Kopitar down the lineup and give someone else the spot. And unfortunately, the problem for the Kings is they really don't have someone to put in that spot. A lot of the young guys, thinking about, Byfield, Velarde, I'm not really considering in that kind of group, but, Byfield is still quite a ways away. A lot of the guys in the minors still quite a ways away. And I just don't know if Kopitar can be playing 21, 22 minutes a night for 82 games. I think come playoff time, I don't have any worries about Kopitar. I just think he's definitely held that front line back a little bit, especially when it was Velarde up there with Kempe. There was just a lot of times where the play would just die on Kopi's stick, and it sucks to watch, but at the same time, like I said, he'll make a play that'll win a game or, preserve a lead. And then you kind of remember, yeah, it's Andrei Kopitar, and he's very good at hockey. Speaking of Gabe Velarde, he's slowing down a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. I think he's still a very good player. I think he's been doing good. I do agree that he probably shouldn't have been on the top line. I think the third line is okay. Still feel like they're trying to kind of figure out that third line. Lazat's playing up there right now, but I think that's a situation where you kind of want Byfield back, or I don't know. AI coming back would be huge. I think them not having Alex Iafallo is a big blow, and it's one of those things where kind of like in the playoffs last year with Arvidsson, where it's like, man, if we had Arvidsson, we would have won the series. I think this team wins probably 4 more games if Alex Iafallo is in the lineup. I think, just his presence, he's so good defensively. He was really good offensively too, especially on that line with Velarde. They're missing him. Now we're going to move on to probably the two best players on the team for the past 2 years. I don't know if that's like a hot take or not, but Phil Deneau has definitely been our best player for the past 2 years. He's continuing to do it this year. His offensive game is actually like very good. He's been making plays that are just so good. It's not the type of player that 3 years ago you would have expected Phil Deneau to be. But he's really, really, really found his game. He's found a lot of confidence, and I just think he's definitely playing his best hockey. And like I said, I think he's been playing the best hockey on the team. He does it both ends of the ice. He's a great leader. You can tell that, just his presence is really big with the team. I think he's been phenomenal. And obviously Trevor Moore and Victor Arvidsson, although, Arvidsson, slow start, he's gotten better. I think he's getting more healthy. But Trevor Moore obviously has been super good as well. I feel like you don't really have to talk about that second line too much because they're just consistent. I've said it for a while now. They're one of the best lines in hockey. They're not going to put up crazy points like a line with McDavid or Matthews or McKinnon's going to put up. But what they do on both sides of the ice, the way that they pretty much every single shift are winning their shifts against the other team, it's our best line. I don't think they need more ice time. I think it's a pretty good mix of what the team's doing, but super solid line. And then look at this. Arthur Kaliev with 14 points as a fourth line player. He's getting PP2 time, and he's looked really good. Honestly, if you're like a hockey nerd, I would suggest like going on ESPN Plus and rewatching the Sharks game. I think that was one of the best games that Arthur Kaliev. Definitely, I think it's the best game he's played all year. I think that's one of the best games that any King has played all year. He was dominant, just with all the little stick battles, winning pucks, especially on the power play. Like there was one. It actually led to their power play goal with Phil Deneau, who had just an insane slap shot, but Kaliev dominated that entire minute of power play time. He made 3 great plays on the board to keep the puck alive, made the safe passes. Just a great game from Arthur Kaliev. He's turned into such a good player, and it's kind of frustrating that he hasn't been able to kind of work on a top 6 role, but the way they're utilizing him, he's still producing, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite players just because it's so fun to watch him develop all these skills instead of just being a great shooter, which he is and he always has been, but he's turning into just a very, very good hockey player, which is really fun to watch because it definitely wasn't expected when he was drafted. We're going to keep going down. Adrian Kempe, the goals have stopped. He has 1 goal, I think, in the last 12 games. One of them got called back in the last game, but I don't know. There was like a few games in that stretch where it looked very bad, and I was starting to really worry. And I was like, "Uh-oh, are we back to inconsistent old Kempe after his breakout year and after I talked so much hype about him?" I don't think that's the case right now. I think he's kind of just getting unlucky. I have a feeling the more he plays with Fiala on that top line, the better that Fiala gets. He's going to get his goals. They're going to come. It probably won't be 35 this year, which is unfortunate because he easily could have got that if he kept his like start of the year pace up, but I still think he's fine. I don't think you have to worry about him. I think he's been making really good defensive plays. He's, like I said, he had like 3 or 4 games where he's very bad, and then he kind of picked himself up from that. And it started with just working on the D zone, and then right now, going back to the last game, I think he's just making really good plays in the offensive zone as well. The goals are going to come. Other guys on the team. Blake Lizotte, he's been great this year. He's always great. I love Blake Lizotte. Carl Grundstrom, Rasmus Kupari, they're doing okay. I think we're kind of getting to the point where our bottom 6 is pretty interchangeable, which is good in a sense, but it's also kind of holding us back just because no one's really no one's really grabbing a spot. And I understand that it's hard to do because the two top lines are pretty set in stone. But it's kind of time for a guy like Rasmus Kupari or Quentin Byfield to kind of make that next step. And I'm a little worried, and this is something I'll talk about, not in this video, but kind of in a separate video. I'm just worried that a lot of the talent pool that the Kings had, the huge prospect pool that they've had, is, I don't know, it just feels like they're running out of time, which, it's not putting the Kings in a terrible spot right now, but it's something to keep in mind. What I want to talk about now is just the defense. It's not been good. It's gotten better. I think Mikey Anderson's picked up his game pretty well. Drew Doughty, I think, has been decent. Like, he gets beat sometimes because he's older and slower now, and he'll take a bad penalty because of it. But overall, still a very good player. Like, I don't really have any complaints with him. Matt Roy started the year pretty bad. I think he's picked up his game a lot. Sean Durzee's just kind of the one that's tough to say anything about because, like, he'll make great offensive plays, and it's like, yeah, of course you need him in the team because, look at that pass. Like, no other D-man on the team is going to make that pass. And then he does that same pass to the other team, and, we blow a lead. So it's tough. Like, it definitely doesn't help that he's playing on his off wing or off side. But I don't know. Kings got to figure it out. Either you bring up someone like Bjornfoot and you just say, you know what, we're going 3 left, 3 right, or I guess you're just stuck with Sean Durze, and it's tough to watch because it's one of those situations where sometimes it'll be great, and then other times it's just like, what is going on? We'll see. I made a pretty bold prediction in a random comment online saying that Durze wasn't going to be in the NHL in December. There's times this year where, I thought that would actually happen. I don't think it will, but it's been a struggle for Durze. And, if we don't fix him and the bottom pair of Sean Walker and Alex Edler, the team's not going to make the playoffs, which is going to be a huge disappointment because, like, all these this forward core is the best forward core that the team has had. I don't even want to say since the Cup days because I think this forward group is better than the Cup teams. The bottom 6, having a guy like Arthur Kaliev in the bottom 6, having a guy like Gabe Vilardi in the bottom 6, like, this is one of the most talented forward groups that this team has had since the Gretzky era. Maybe not the best, but it's very good. And the fact that our not good defensive group is going to hold us back, it just stings. It stings because I love watching this team play hockey, and I hate having that feeling in my head of, like, I don't know if I'm going to watch a 5-1 great win for the Kings or if we're going to lose 6-0. It's so up in the air, and it's very frustrating. And then, going down to the goaltending, the stats are terrible, but I think they've really picked up their game. Obviously, Cal Peterson had that terrible goal against in what was probably his best game of the season where he made some unbelievable saves. I'm not sure if I'm 100% like okay with Cal right now. I think there's definitely a little bit of fear in the back of my head when he's starting, but for the most part, I think the goaltending has been better, and I don't think it's a huge problem right now. I think, if anything, if the team is going to collapse and lose a game really badly, it's going to be defensively. It's not going to be because Quick or Cal Peterson give up 4 terrible goals. But yeah, that's kind of it. Wanted to make the video. I don't really know what's going on with the team. I'm a little worried. Just the inconsistency is just so bad. I mean, if you win like 1 or 2 of these games, we're like sitting comfortable in a playoff spot. We're just not doing that right now. I'll be devastated if we miss the playoffs. My gut is kind of telling me we are, unless we just kind of go on a run here. Easy schedule though, right? Ottawa, Seattle, Arizona. Seattle's not easy, I guess. But Ottawa and Arizona, those are 2 pretty good games. Carolina's tough. And then it's going to be an Eastern road trip, which hopefully I'll be able to go to Boston and Montreal. I'm going to try. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, Kings, they got to go on a run here. If they don't, I think the season's over. I don't think that U.S. Thanksgiving is like the end-all, be-all deadline. But definitely by Christmas, like if the Kings are not comfortably in a playoff spot. I don't see them. I don't see them making it because Edmonton, Calgary, they're getting a lot better. They're figuring it out. Edmonton, they're a little shaky, but they got Connor McDavid, so they're going to make the playoffs most likely. Kings got to figure it out. They have to figure it out in this next. I mean, probably coming back from Boston. I'm going to say the Boston game's probably a loss because Boston's insane right now. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 winnable games. You need to win 7 of these. 7 games in 3, 6, 9, 10. If you can go 7-3 or like 6-2-1, or 6. I don't know the math, but you got to win 7 at least. You need to come away with 14 points after this Boston game or before the Boston game, something like that. I don't know. This has been a Ramley video. Just wanted to get it out there. Thanks for watching. Give a comment if you have any ideas. What's going on? Also, like, do you think we're going to make the playoffs? Because I've kind of convinced myself that we're not, just because I just kind of expect a 3-game losing streak anywhere in this schedule. But yeah, give me your ideas if you think the Kings are going to stay in the playoffs. And if they miss, what happens? You know, do you blow it up a little bit? Do you get rid of your prospects and go all in? Or do you just kind of hold the course? Because, like I said, my fear is that the young guys really aren't pushing for a promotion. They're not really making a difference. You can kind of take Quinn Byfield out of the lineup and the team looks generally the same as when he's in it. That stuff scares me. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. And I'll be back with another video sometime.